from your listening device all the way into your agent's psyche. It's Real Estate Between the Lines with Brian Lee. Teaching you things you didn't know you needed to know to help you become a legendary agent and turn your clients into raving fans.
Welcome to Real Estate Between the Lines. I'm your host, Brian Lee. I'm all about helping the real estate industry improve one agent at a time. With me, as always, is my beautiful and lovely co-host, business partner, Cate.
Hello.
Hi, Cate.
Hello.
Love that you're here.
Thank you.
Today, episode 7. Systems can make or break you. We're going to get into systems. We're going to talk about how to run a business a little bit better, how to monitor things, how to watch what you're doing with your clients, and all those things that systems really get into that agents somewhat do haphazardly. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll have some ideas, certainly some takeaways that you can go into this and all that. As we started last week, we have a couple of new segments. One of them is talking about our weekly song, something that got into this.
Yes.
And as I got into this thing, I'm always struggling. I'm a huge music fan, and there's a lot of music we can get into. But this week's episode, Systems Can Make or Break You, I was trying to think of a good song. And this is kind of innocuous. It gets into this a little bit. It is by System of a Down. So right there, it already has the name System in it. So that was kind of what appealed to me, like we're talking about System of a Down. And System of a Down has no system whatsoever. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I pulled into this is like, don't do what System of a Down does. Have a system, be more intentional. The song that I chose is Chop Suey. And all of you that it is, it's a very popular song. I promise that if you plug it in, we'll have it in our show notes, listen to it, and you'll probably recognize it. It is a very popular song, but most people don't know it as Chop Suey. The other reason why I picked this song is because of what Chop Suey is. So there's a little bit of history here. I don't want to take a lot of time, but what Chop Suey literally means in the Chinese culture is miscellaneous leftovers. That's where it is. So it's a dish of things that are made up of meats, of fish, beef, chicken, whatever they had, some cabbage, some noodles if they had it, whatever, but it was just this miscellaneous leftover. And it was something that started in the early 1800s over in the Asian culture, but it kind of became more Americanized. So it's more recognized in America than actually it is in China, but it was a big thing. And the reason why I like it so much, thinking about that miscellaneous leftovers, is that this is what you're doing, agents. You're picking up all these little things. You've got a little bit of thing going over here and a little bit of thing over here, and you've got this Chop Suey. You've got this miscellaneous leftovers. So let's have a system. Let's put together this thing so that way you don't end up with Chop Suey, with this miscellaneous thing that you have all over the place. And maybe it is tasty. Maybe it is delicious. Add a little bit of soy sauce in it, and it's delicious. But still, I don't like miscellaneous. I don't like this.
Be random, be different every time.
Yeah,
Instead,
exactly.
We'll have a good recipe.
We'll have a great recipe that we put together and all that. So that's the song of the week. I really like that, and I thought that you guys would enjoy that.
All right.
With it. And again, those of you that are System of a Down people, you are, or if you're not, you are in for a treat when you watch this video. They are quite the entertainers.
Okay.
So getting into this episode, we're getting into that systems are vital for your business. If you want to stand out, if you want your clients to really recognize you, these systems will help you because the system, I keep saying the word system. I feel like, am I saying system a lot?
Okay.
I don't know why I just did. It's just hitting me. But these help you to stand out. They help you to be successful. These are things you're going to implement with your clients, that they're going to see this, and it's this. Here's the process, here's the plan, and that way your clients know, they see, they kind of have an expectation of what happens next, instead of you having this Chop Suey of, oh my gosh, we've got this appraisal, and we've got this mortgage thing, and we've got title thing, and we're kind of all over the place, and I don't know what's happening. So a system will help them understand this, and it will also help you keep you on track, the checklist, things like that, because I would tell you that I've been in the industry for over 20 years, and I still will forget things. You know, I have the general steps. I know we need the appraisal and the title and all these things, but there's a lot of things in there inside of each one of those things. And so there might be 30 items that you have to deal with or getting into. Having a system helps me to remember that. Having a checklist, having something that I can work off of, that I've done it 100 times. And when I'm not in a rush, when I'm not worried about things, I probably will remember it, but I've got 5 transactions going on. So the system really helps keep me in line.
Keeps you on track, and it eases the process for you as well.
Yes, exactly. So getting into this, when you're putting these together, everybody's going to work a little differently. So I'm not going to have the be all end all plan. Here it is, guys. Here's the PDF. This is the system. All of you are going to work differently because there's a lot of things to take into account. One of them is that certainly you're working for a broker, and your broker might have some systems that kind of supersede or need to be ingrained in what you do, that you have your own thing. You have the way that you work, but that your broker, they might have an online cloud-based thing, or they have an inner office thing that you have to have a copy of this and a signature there, or they have a document. So there is not a be-all, end-all to this, but getting into here, you need to break these steps down for you. If you have a team, if you have licensed assistants, unlicensed assistants, you have people that work for you, these are things. So break down every step. Take some time. It might take you 3 or 4 or 5 hours or something. And if you have a team, certainly sit down with them, but break them down and make sure you're going over everything. Make sure you're not rushed to say, you know what, we're taking the day. I want to back up. We've been doing great with what we've done, but we've forgotten some things. We didn't get this thing done. So let's break this down and come up with a system or come up with a checklist that we are already operating some way. But let's have this written down. Let's have it as a checklist, something that we can communicate with other people.
Yeah, and I'm a big proponent of, I steal from Tom Ferry. He likes to use I think it's an acronym, R.O.A.D, rip off and duplicate. You know what? Go out there and find some systems or checklists online. Take those, use them, and add to them and take away as you need. It will help you immensely to be able to start with something as opposed to starting from scratch.
Agreed. Great point. Is that it doesn't have to be this brand new thing that you're creating from scratch. You've got this blank paper. There are online systems. There are online things that you can get for free that will help. And shoot, maybe there's another agent. We've talked in other episodes in the past that maybe there's a co-agent of yours. Maybe there's somebody that you've worked with that you respect and you like the way they work. Maybe sit down with them and say, hey, do you have a system that you mind me copying or seeing, or taking out the privileged stuff, but just an idea, just to get some suggestions on this, but have that put together. We believe that's very important too, I guess, to get into that, is that to create that professional positive image to the clients, to the industry of what we're doing here. When you're putting this together too, so you're breaking down each steps, let's talk about some of the systems you should be creating or certainly getting into. So what we start off with is we have the client acquisition thing. So there's a system in that for you, whether it's looking at your drip campaigns, your marketing pieces, the email things that you put out there, your touches, how often are you doing it, how are you doing it, what does that look like? And one of the things that I briefly get into here, and we'll have a breakout episode on this, where we talk about, we even would break down clients into different tiers or different systems. We call it the A, B, C, D clients, where A clients are your top clients, the ones that love you, that just get into this.
Your biggest referral partners.
Perfect, exactly. That's the great way to put it, is that they are the ones that love you, and those are the ones you want to handle with kid gloves and make sure that they know that they are loved from you because they love you. And then you have your D clients that you probably aren't getting into. So in a breakout episode, we will get more into the A, B, C, D clients. I'll talk more about that. But certainly look at segmenting your clients in a way, because certainly the clients that love you, we want to take care of. And the ones that are there that we don't, it's not that we hate them, it's just that they aren't going to do anything for us.
Yeah,
so we
you just want to make sure you're spending your marketing dollars in the right place, and that, again, you're being intentional and spending your money where you're going to get a return on it. So spend your most time and your effort with your A clients.
Absolutely. Perfectly said. So that's going to be a system of that client acquisition. The next system you need to include is then client handling. So now we have a system where we've got the client. They like us. They want us to help us with the purchase or a sale. But now we're listing their home. We need a system for that. We need a checklist for that. What are we going to do? We need signs. We need lockboxes. We need contracts. We need to make sure we have all the documents that we need, the purchase or the listing contracts, the disclosure forms, all those things. If we're showing buyer homes, we should have a checklist for that too. There should be something that talks about how are we handling it. Maybe you should bring a flashlight with you, because not every home has the utilities on. So if we're showing something at night, that's just another thing that just to have in that tackle box to be in that thing. And maybe you don't need it, but still it's a checklist that you don't ever think about it, but sure would be nice if I would have had that thing. getting them to a purchase contract. And a lot of this too, while I'm getting into this, is that the client handling, we do need to have the checklist and make sure that our clients are getting this, that we're taking it from their perspective, that our checklist, that the things that we're putting together are something that we give to our clients that they can see, oh, I can see what we're expecting here. I know that we need this contract. I know we need these things.
Right, kind of sum it up for them in a few easy steps so you can kind of go over the transaction of what the process is going to be like. That's what you do in your consultation with them. Explain what to expect so that they're not surprised. But then for me, I have two separate checklists or systems in place. One is the things that I need to be doing, and then one is what I share with the client and kind of help keeping the client on track. So it's nice to have that and break that out a little bit. Definitely.
Absolutely. And I agree because again, at the end of the day, we do want to make sure that our clients are in on this conversation so that way they're not surprised, or we're limiting their surprise. We're limiting some of these things, that we're managing those expectations. So this client handling checklist should be, or this system should have, from certainly our perspective, as you just mentioned, but also from the client's perspective. So it would be one thing, or maybe even two checklists for the same task.
Yeah, and I would say I even use email templates that I have set aside that I send at different points of the process. So one would go to the client, one might go to the lender, one goes to the title rep. So having those emails pre-prepared, kind of scripts ready to go, makes the process so much easier. I have it in the checklist to send, and then all I have to do is implement it and hit send. Absolutely.
So that's another thing. So the next system that you'd want to create is a transactional checklist. So the first one was we got the client. The second one is that, okay, we're beginning this client handling situation. Now we have a transactional thing. Mm-hmm. We're in this purchase agreement. We're getting into this thing, and there's a lot of things both on the buyer's and the seller's side that we have to be mindful of. And even though maybe I only represent the buyer, as the buyer's agent watching out for my buyer, I know there's a seller thing that's out here. So those should also be in your checklist. It's not that it's my responsibility to take care of that seller, that they have an agent too, but I know that the seller has some things they need to do. If I'm the seller, I know there's some things that the buyer needs to do. I want to make sure that their mortgage are taken care, or that they're getting the mortgage, what's appraisal doing and all that. Again, it's not my responsibility as the seller to take care of that, but it better be in my checklist, because if I forget that thing, we get a week away from closing and like, oh my gosh, where's the appraisal? Did we do that thing? And oh, the buyer forgot, the mortgage company didn't do it, whatever. Yeah. I sometimes have to have that. So those transactional things that would include the mortgage, the appraisal, inspection, title, closing. Again, that's something that you need to have, that would have the checklist, the system to make sure we're getting into this, and also communicating that to our client that here are the things we need to get to as well. And it might even be worthwhile talking to a title company, a mortgage company, because I know that the mortgage company, from the buyer's perspective, they have a lot of things that they need. And maybe the mortgage rep doesn't have that checklist. I know I need your bank statements. I know I need your W-2s. I know you need your pay stubs, stuff like that. Have a checklist of when you go to the mortgage company for your buyer, before you even go there, I know they're going to need these things. They're going to need a couple months of bank statements. They're going to need these things. Absolutely. So have those and have them on your checklist. Have them on a checklist that your client can have. That way they can follow along and kind of manage that, because sometimes that's even a little off-putting for people. What do you mean you want to look at my bank statement? That's personal privileged information. Yeah. Well, that's kind of part of what we need to get into. So it's also a communicational thing.
Absolutely.
The last checklist that we get into, the last system that we want to consider, is the business backend, because this is the thing that happens after the closing's taken care of. So we got the client, we're working through the transaction, we've got that closed. Now we have the business backend. So here we have paperwork, we have accounting to take care of, closing up of files, follow up after the sale. Are you giving a client survey? When are you doing that?
Are you putting them in your drip campaign? Absolutely. Make sure they're inputted in your CRM so you can follow up with them so that you can get those referrals down the road.
Absolutely. So again, these are little things that you know what you need to do, and 9 times out of 10 you remember, but the 10th one you forget, and then that 10th person doesn't go on your drip campaign. They don't go into this thing, and you lose the file or you forget about it, and that could have been a great referral partner. That if you had communicated with them, they would have done that. So it's very vital to have this system, this checklist that handles that back end, that we're done with this. And also too, it includes a lot more to your business. And in another episode, we're going to get a lot more into your business, specifically the financials, the taxes, the deductions and all that. But certainly at the back end, we should be looking at keeping track of receipts, certainly if it was a receipt with regard.
Receipts.
One of Cate's favorite terms. I'm always hitting her up. I'm a little bit of OCD.
He's
and type
our
A on
CFO.
this. And yeah, the F doesn't always mean financial with Cate. This is a family friendly show,
Yes.
so you can kind of go with your own inference on that.
The chief officer.
But still, maybe there was a receipt. Maybe you paid for a water heater or whatever. I mean, just it can be about this particular transaction, but still, just are you keeping track of all those things? You're budgeting, things like that. So there's a big piece of this that needs to be part of your system as well.
Yeah.
So
speaking of systems, I have a side note tangent.
We're picking up speed. Things are gonna be great. Wait.
Side note tangent.
It's a side note tangent with Cate.
side note tangent.
Side note tangent.
So we have a new thing. So Cate, your side note tangent.
Kind of random, but on topic a little bit, is did you know that 2 million people are diagnosed with OCD in the U.S.? 2 million.
So does that a 2 million include me?
You do have your idiosyncrasies, yes.
That was an endearing term that she asked for. She called me an idiot syncrasy or
Yes.
something. I think that's
That
what
is
I
not
heard.
what I meant, and you know it, mister. No,
2
but I
million
think,
people.
and it kind of makes you think about what are some of our own, I'll say odd anxieties, if you will. I was kind of thinking through the things that I have to do in certain order. I know it's weird, but like I will never put my socks on before I put my pants on. Is that weird? I don't know.
Producer Christian?
Yeah, are you
Do you have
socks
any
first?
OCD thing? I mean, are you part of this 2 million? I clearly
Actually do,
Cate is-
yeah. I only increment my my temperature control in my car by even numbers.
Even numbers.
Oh.
Interesting.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
So you go
do.
72,
Absolutely.
71. Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
is it 75? Are you okay with a 5? No? So you'd
That's not
75?
even.
I
See,
would go to
we
even.
have to teach math.
See,
so.
no.
So that
well,
doesn't make any sense, does it?
Okay. No. That
My
is
Mini
weird.
only did 2s, so it was like
Really?
very relaxing.
Oh, wow.
I don't even have to look at it. I just,
That's
whatever I turn it to,
nice.
it's always going to hit an even
Also,
number.
I don't ever stare at a stoplight. Well, like when I'm coming up on it, because I feel like if I stare at it, it'll change.
Oh my gosh.
So it's almost like an athlete that has their own
Yeah,
little thing. Like
like
if
a
I don't
superstition.
look at it, I get
Yeah.
it green. If I wear my socks or this
Right.
thing, if I rub my rabbit's foot,
Yes.
we're going to win today.
Yeah, especially baseball players.
So now I'm going to stare at the stoplight now every time we go
Yeah,
through.
exactly. Now your OCD's become mine. Now all my temperature has to
now,
be even numbers.
I have to say, one of Brian's OCDs.
You guys are laughing, but everybody has these.
Everybody
No,
does.
not- again,
and
not
here's
me.
Brian.
It's-
Brian is all about his Excel spreadsheet. Oh my goodness.
And don't mess
He
with it.
cannot go to bed until he's rerun numbers left, right, up, and down. Let's do like 20 different scenarios. It's his fidget spinner. It's hilarious. I know if he's stressed, he's on Excel.
We have a shared spreadsheet for our personal finances and all that, and I shared that with Cate. I let her
That
see it.
I'm not allowed to
I
touch.
say I
I
let
can
her see it.
see
I
it.
mean,
Are you read only?
we are in this together. But when we first started dating, and we were incorporating our budgets together, she got in there. And it was funny.
Oh, yeah.
She got in there and she changed some things. And man, I caught it. I mean, you can have a statue on my desk and move it 1 inch and I notice. And it was
He
the
does.
same thing with the Excel spreadsheet, is that she did something. It's like, did you mess with my spreadsheet? I don't care if you look at it. It's there for you to look at. Certainly, we're in this
don't
together.
change
But you
anything.
do not change anything. That is my spreadsheet. You want to create your own? So, yes. But that's my only OCD, thank you. It's just my spreadsheet.
That's it. Of
That's
course,
your only
you
OCD
have
thing.
nothing else.
All right, let's move on. I don't know how this
All right.
Not picking on me. This is my show.
Oh, all about you.
The next thing we get into is that, so we have your systems built, but also when you're incorporating your systems, realize that there are a lot of tasks that need to happen here. So there's another piece that I got into, and I'm going to give a shout out real quick to a friend of mine. His name is Dustin Harris. He's a guy, he's known as the Appraiser podcast, or he's the Appraiser Coach, and he has a podcast, and I still listen to him, but I used to have a lot of business with him, and I love some of the things. And one of the things that he introduced me to was a tier system that I really like, and he took it more from the appraisal perspective. So please forgive me, agents. Even though this did come from an appraiser, this is actually some good information. That not everything that an appraiser says is bad. This was something that I felt was really nice, and all that. So He introduced me to a system. It's the tier 1 through 5 system, and it recognizes that there are things inside of everything you do, from A to Z, all the things. So you have the system of what needs to be done. Now we get into the tiers. So a tier 1 system or tier 1 level person is usually an entry level person, a secretary, an administrative assistant, very likely not licensed. That they might be a gatekeeper for emails and all that. They are somebody that provides a benefit to the licensed person to take over the innocuous things. I hesitate to say the simple things, but they can take a phone call and get a message and all that instead of you being inundated with a lot of emails and all that. Or certainly there's questions that maybe they can even answer, like, hey, when is my closing? They would have that. It's part of your system. You already know it's this Friday and it's at 2:00 and it's at this address. They can answer those. Why are you as an agent answering those questions? So maybe that's that tier level person. Tier 1 level person. Tier 2 is somebody that's very highly trained, still maybe not licensed. They can be licensed, but probably typically they're still unlicensed, but they are maybe more of like what we would call a transaction coordinator. Somebody that really knows the system, that they have a good idea that outside of the licensed things, they are all into this.
That person might be the one that's ordering title work or following up with the mortgage company to make sure the appraisal has been ordered, make sure earnest money's delivered, making sure your paperwork is in order, and letting you know, hey, we need this, we need that, maybe some communication with the client, but mostly it's kind of behind the scenes stuff, just making sure things are on track and you're staying on your system.
Exactly. And they that's a great way to put it, is that they probably are the one that are watching this system. They are monitoring it. They're making sure that the tier 1 person is doing what they're doing, and that the manager, the agent, the tier 3 and 4 that we'll get into next, that they're doing what they're doing. The tier 2 person is that person. Now the tier 3, this is usually a licensed assistant, a licensed person, because this tier here is where they're going to have a lot of client interaction, whether they're showing properties for buyers or they're going out to listings and all that. So they are they're going to be a high level person and also doing licensed related activities that an agent would take on. But maybe the lead agent doesn't necessarily need to be at every showing. Maybe I'll be at the second showing because now we've kind of dialed it down, but we're looking at 10 homes over the next 2 days. Let's send out our tier 3 licensed person to do that. Let them see all 10 of these homes, and then when they get it pared down to 2 or 3, maybe now they'll step up and do that.
Correct. And I would say on larger teams, this is where the licensed assistants might even have more specific roles. Like you are specifically a buyer's agent. You are here to only show properties. Or you have someone who's specifically a listing agent who is helping with the CMA up front and the listing paperwork, sign in the yard, all that good stuff. So they could be even a little more specialized.
Great, yeah. Tier 4 is probably you. You're the manager. Certainly when you get into the larger teams, if you have several agents, you have several assistants and all that, you need an office manager. You need somebody that now is really watching it. They're the ones that are ensuring that everything's done. They're watching over tier 1, 2, 3, and maybe even you. So the manager, that would be in there, but for a lot of agents, we're talking high production. We're talking you're doing $20, $30 million, of business, and you need an actual office manager that's watching this. And then tier 5 is the owner and lead agent. So that would be you if you're that main person. But certainly, let's break this down a little bit differently. So there are 5 levels, but this could encompass one person. This could be one person. Maybe you are a brand new agent and you're doing, $2 million a year. You still need to break these tasks down, these tiers, and recognize this. And as your business grows, you would look at, okay, I'm getting busy. I'm doing $3, $4, $5 million now. I need some help. Look at these tasks. Look at these tiers and say, you know what? I really need a tier 1, tier 2 level person. And they'll take over those 2 things. So that is one person that does that. And then maybe I get to the point where I need a tier 3, where I need a licensed assistant. Right now, it's me. Right now, I'm tier 3, 4, and 5. It's all me. And I've got an unlicensed person that's doing tier 1 and 2. So make sure you're looking at all that.
Yeah, and I would say as a new agent, I would say that, you probably are going to be all 5 tier. You're going to do all of these tasks, if you will. So what you might do is kind of think of it as, what hat am I wearing today? Am I wearing my tier 1 hat or tier 3 hat? And maybe what sometimes even helps is carve out time specifically to focus on that segment of your business. So Dustin, great. He had another great thing is talking about OINII, working on your business, not in it. Or is that right? On your business, not in it. Oh. Yes. And so taking out 2 hours of your day that I'm only focusing on my tier 2 tasks that I need to get these worked out, file my taxes, whatever it is I may need to do. And I'm wearing that hat for those 2 hours. So shut off everything else that is not regarding those tasks.
Yep,
so just
exactly.
an idea.
Future episodes, we'll get more into those tiers and all that, but those are just things to consider including in there. And one of the things we mentioned earlier is that recognize that your system will be different than other agents, the things that you do. So certainly as you're putting these together, the tiers, and you're looking at the various systems, that maybe it's all you, maybe you have multiple people, maybe you're looking at hiring people, and also realize that your systems are likely going to need to be changed, that this needs to be dynamic, and that as you grow, that you're going to need to make change. So don't set up a system and say, this is the be all end all, we're not changing it. Certainly talk to the people and see that this system isn't working. I put this step before this step and really need to put this over here in this other system thing. So make sure that you're going into all that and understand that you need to make a customized thing to go through all that. The last thing we get into is talking about training systems and videos specifically. And I really like this. I know, Cate, you do a lot of this in our office. So talk to us a little bit about that.
I try.
And you do a great job. Our agents love you for it.
Well, there are many different types of training videos. I would say think about the video as I'm helping to educate. And who is your consumer? Are you educating another agent? Are you educating your client? So sometimes we've talked about BombBomb is a great software system that you can use to embed a video in an email. Well, what you could do is maybe record a quick video on for your client. Hey, we're into step 2 of the process. Now you need to order your inspection, and you can talk about what they need to expect and what's going to happen, what they need to do. So that way they can see you and hear you delivering the message, but you're not spending the time every single time you have a client. You don't have to sit there and have that 5-minute conversation that's going to lead into 20 more questions. You have a quick video, they can see it, and they can learn from it and move on. So it expedites your time as well.
Agreed. I love the training videos. This week's quote. Yes. Finishing up this episode, this week's quote. Systems give you freedom, control, and a future. Without systems, you can lose all 3. I love that quote, guys. Agents, hear me. This is something that is in your business, not on your business. This is something that does take some time. It's not a money-making thing. So a lot of agents don't do this. You have to take some time away. That I could be out marketing. I could be out talking to clients. You need to put these things together. If you do this, your business will blow up. It will succeed. You're going to show this to your clients. Your clients are going to have a better feel, a better understanding of that. So put these systems together. They're going to give you that freedom. They're going to have some control for you. They're going to have you set some things. They're going to create a future, something that your clients are going to love, something that your clients are going to send you business and send you business like crazy. So closing this up, we're talking about setting up the systems. Again, your systems are going to include your client acquisition models, your client handling, transactional, and your business. Make sure that you are putting them in place. Split up the tasks. Delegate them to your tier 1 through 5 people. Sometimes that may all be you, but certainly as you grow, you'll add more people, and make sure you're doing that. Create a unique system, something that works for you. Certainly you can work with the template, something that somebody else uses, but make sure it matches with what you're doing, because if it doesn't, you're not going to do this. So make sure you're doing that. Video is a great way to help you with your clients, your coworkers, and even yourself. We also have something that if you'd like to email us, I know, Cate, you have some great templates.
I have some transaction check sheet, templates, roadmap to a buyer or a listing. I'm happy to share that. Absolutely.
So, agents, we love your feedback. We welcome your questions. Certainly email us if you like those templates. We love to hear from you guys. Please email us at brian@brianclee.com or visit our website at www.brianclee.com. Thank you for joining us today. Take care and make your day legendary.
You've been listening to Real Estate Between the Lines with Brian Lee. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a legendary agent, be sure to visit us at brianclee.com and sign up to hear about upcoming workshops and events. Now go out there and turn your clients into raving fans.